Indie warriors, let's be kids again. A cardboard box is just a monster costume in the making. A park, secretly a sea to swashbuckle in. Figure out the secret code, lure the beast from the prize. Your adventures are only limited by your imagination. To be young. Literary Rose here with I Dream of Indie to talk to you about Lost in Play.
Ooh!
Lost in Play is a single-player, hand-drawn, point-and-click puzzle adventure game. I know, that was a lot of things put together, but we'll get through it. Coming to us from developers Happy Juice Games, lovely name, and publisher Joystick Ventures. Help brother and sister navigate a fantastical world of their making, solving light to challenging puzzles as you try to make your way back home. The plot is held together by a shoestring, but that's what makes it even more delightful and appropriate. You're living the fantasies of children, brought to life by the mundane objects around them. But there is careful crafting in this seemingly thin plot, with characters and concepts from the beginning of the game returning in its last hurrah. Returning to where things started is a wonderful narrative technique that further emphasizes the return home of these siblings. In terms of gameplay, you can play on your mouse, on your keyboard, or with a controller, but the game does recommend controller, so I went with that option. Typical for point-and-click adventures, you move left and right on the screen, you interact with different characters and objects, as well as read obscure notes here and there that set to guide you in different puzzles. The puzzles range from simple to deceptively simple, but I wouldn't consider any of these puzzles to be challenging unless you are inept at them, as I am. And fear not, for if you do get stuck, the game has a built-in hint system, which I, of course, made great use of. I think the difficulty matches the theme of the game perfectly, offering a challenge without pulling the player out of the fun and wonder of the world. In total, it took me about 6 hours to complete the game, and I never found myself stuck on a puzzle for more than 10 to 15 minutes, and that would be a pretty challenging puzzle. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you this, since you're probably watching this review with your eyeballs, but the hand-drawn art of Lost in Play is like something out of a storybook or out of a cartoon. It immediately reminded me of all the cartoons I love, like something from Cartoon Network. Specifically the art and the tone, and many of the puzzles actually having this sort of like paranormal theme reminded me of Gravity Falls, which is a show I adore. For our musical accompaniment, the opening a cappella was a promise for greatness that the game fulfilled in spades. Each piece is whimsical and filled with beautiful instrumentation of trumpets, drums, horns, soft guitar strums, triangles, violins. You really do get the full orchestra range here, and it's like stepping into a classic Disney movie or just a classic animated movie from my youth. This is a soundtrack I will be returning to, and I'm sure you will love as well. Besides the soundtrack, the sound effects and the voices are equally fantastic. Especially the voices. They are too cute. It's like a mix of Simlish with Animal Crossing and some real-life language, perhaps Eastern European language. Regardless, the garble of sounds that the characters produce is delightful and maintains that child fantasy tone, keeping us fully immersed in this dream. I did feel a touch disappointed by the settings menu. When you first load up the game, all you can adjust in the settings is whether you'd be playing with mouse, keyboard, or controller. It's only once you're in the game that you can see a few more limited options like rebinding keys, loading different areas you've cleared or the last one you left off in, and the standard audio adjustments. My disappointment has less to do with the range of options, since this game is pretty accessible as is, but in the fact that I had to enter a level before being able to adjust things like volume. This, however, is a very minor gripe. Lost in Play is a captivating and amusing point-and-click puzzle adventure game that deserves a space in your library, even if you aren't typically interested in the genre, which I would consider myself within that category. If you love children's media, the whimsical tone of these kinds of works, Lost in Play will enthrall you and reconnect you with your inner child in the best possible way.
We thank you so much for supporting clickbait-free content here at I Dream of Indie. We couldn't possibly make it without you and these brave indie warriors and legends. At the Indie Warriors tier, we have Bill, Adriana Amato, CJR, Julian Kolbis, Ray Lynn, Marky Mint, Dave Harp, Peekaboo, Lex Noyle, Christian Cruz, PSC, Solaru C, Chic Geek, Ancha277, and Acrophobe. Indie legends include Nathan Moore, Skeptism, Jen Rose, Chris Jackson, Mr. W, Blue Francis 14, The Beefarinis, Business Cody, Chiron, Jace Glover, King of the Hatch, Ophidian Mind, Lord Metroid, Seacoil, and Larkison. Thank you so much for everything that you do for independent developers, publishers, and for I Dream of Indie. Everybody else, head down to the description box below. Let's defeat the gaming echo chamber and bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming.